uh, this, like our friend Ramaskandaji was telling that time for the program was 1:30. There is auto off. Rather, I remember it reminded us of the initial hiccups in implementation of GST. Okay, so not a bad idea. First of all, I want to be, I want to congratulate all of you. I think majority of you are from ICMA now. I was telling my fellow speaker Vishwanath ji, they are the hardcore knowledge mongers. They really want to be here and listen to what the main speakers are would like to speak to. It's like it has been almost more than 2 hours. You have been patiently listening to. My condition is like I don't know how many of you are from rural background. In rural households, once all the men in the house or children in the house, they finish their dinner or lunch or whatever it is, whatever is the leftover, or at the end, the mother or head mistress of the house is supposed to eat whatever is left over. My condition reminds me of that rural household. Prashant ji literally snatched all the words from my mouth. He's Swayam Sevak also, he's chartered account, deadly combination. It's like Benki ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಿರುಗಾಳಿ ಸೇರಿದಂಗೆ. How many of you follow Kannada? All of you? Oh. In any case, doesn't matter. I was like a Google map. I came with longitude, latitude, everything set, and interactive voice ready to guide you to GST 2.0. But I was not aware there are already so many people lined up to show the route and show the destination to all of you. So it really doesn't matter. ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞ ಒಂದು ವಚನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಊರಿಂಗೆ ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಆರು ತೋರಿದಡೇನು, ಸಾರಾಯದ ನಿಜವ ತೋರಿದ ಗುರು, ಆರಾದರೇನು ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞ. Saraya is like Chowdhury. Whoever may have shown you the destination, whoever may have shown you the route to the Saraya. Saraya is the Chowdhury, because the olden days they didn't have these hotels and accommodation places. Whenever somebody entered the house, somebody should show them where the place of stay. So many people have already shown you, starting from B.K. Raghavendra ji to Narayana Prasanna to our Honorable Minister of State, Government of India, Madam Shobha Karandlaje, and our Deputy Chief Minister Ashwath Narayan ji. Everybody has literally, I am so happy whenever usually political leaders are there in an event, they speaking so much about GST, taxation, economy is a big welcome change. If you ask me what is the game changer of if GST is a game changer, I would say that now, whether it is rural mass or political leadership or bureaucracy or a common consumer or whoever it is, everybody speaks and everybody understands this, the terminology of GST. They understand this. In fact, when it came to implementation of GST and things, sir has already my senior in the service. Sir was DP Nagendra Kumar sir. He was member of Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. In a way, sir is like Bhishma of GST. In fact, when I came to know that sir will be present in the audience, I said it is like showing torch to the sun, calling me to speak to the audience when DP Nagendra Kumar sir will be here. He was part of the drafting of the GST law, policy making. He was like, I don't think there is anybody most updated than DP Nagendra Kumar sir himself is. So it's a big hesitation for me, like Ekalavya speaking in front of Drona regarding archery. It's that kind of moment for me. So there is nothing left to. In fact, whatever I wanted to tell, that's the reason now I am just traversing here and there to just hide myself from the main topic. See, when it comes to taxation, Benjamin Franklin, the statesman of United States of America, one of the founding fathers of United States of America, after the Constitution of USA was implemented, rather accepted, it is said that he wrote to one of his friends, wherein he said, I am not sure about the permanency of this constitution, certainty of this constitution, but there are two things which are certain in life. One is death, another one is tax. There are only these two things which are permanent and which are certain in life. So maybe going by our historical developments regarding taxation, even when you see the Indian national movement, Dandi Satyagraha, the salt movement was a big watershed movement in Indian freedom fighting. So that is the power of the taxation, which the tax which united the country. So that unity during the freedom movement was a different unity. But when it comes to post-independence unity, the real unity of, rather unification of economic unification, not political or not cultural unification. If you ask me, the real economic unification of India happened post implementation of GST. In fact, many people, many from your fraternity, when they meet me, they ask one question: what's going on in the government's corridor? What next reform or what next move we can expect from the government? I tell them those times have changed. There is nothing which is behind, like within the four corners or within the four walls of policy making room or behind a closed door. You expect the policy to be formulated and you don't know it. No, it's everywhere now. If you are thinking something, if there is something which is making your business and your trade difficult, or you are facing some real problem with the taxation, this government is so responsive, so reactive, so receptive. You tweet, you give a representation, you make a you simply write a letter to the concerned authority, and I'm sure next GST council meeting, you will see the problem is addressed. That is the power. In fact, I was telling, this is one act which really truly represents the real pulse of the people. And this GST 2.0 is actually result of that feedback system. If you ask me, this is the real act. The present, after 8 years of GST, whatever is the present law, it is not the law enacted by the representatives of the people. It is the people themselves who have enacted this act to themselves, if you ask me. When it comes to why this so much of jingoism or so much of enthusiasm, so much of happiness and celebration about GST, especially GST. If you ask me, when it was implemented in 2017, the Honorable Prime Minister had said it's a good and simple tax. And just 5 months back, when our neighbor had a misadventure with us, we wanted to teach them a good hard lesson. Our beloved Chief Minister of Assam, he said, he gave a different connotation and different definition of GST. He said, it's GST means God sent tax. Without these, the collections, and without these, the revenue which we accumulated because of the GST, we were able to buy the most advanced fighter jets with which we were able to really succeed in our operations in the. That's what he meant to. Now in 2025, just 5 months later, our Honorable Prime Minister says, he gave another definition to GST. He says it is good saving time. GST means good saving time. And it is supported by what our Honorable Prime Minister said, our Honorable Finance Minister said. She said, I am putting 2 lakh crores in the pockets of the citizen, in the pockets of the consumers. You can imagine the kind of the economic, the kind of money circulation, 2 lakh crore rupees, 1 lakh crore in terms of the income tax benefit which she gave in the month of February this year, and another expected 1 lakh crore, which though it was said that around 50,000 crore savings for the consumers in this year, and next year it is expected to go up to 1 lakh crore. 2 lakh crore rupees in the pockets of the consumers, whether it is Lagu Udyog Bharati, whether it is MSME, whether it is large industries or whatever it is. When there is a, it's all the game of demand and supply. When when there is a demand, when the consumers are sitting on this surplus amount of 2 lakh crores, you can expect what kind of economic stimulus it is going to give to, and what kind of in fact I was told, matlab, as a though I was not from accountancy background, we were given an example of the power of velocity of money, how the circulation of money results in, with 500 rupees example, that somebody goes to have a estate stay, and he wants to before he's able to stay there, he wants to take a tour of the estate. That estate guy says, you please deposit 500 rupees with me, then you can go around and have a look and come back. He pays that 500 rupees, he places it on the desk. That guy immediately remembers that he had purchased some milk in the morning for which he had not paid. He pays the milkman. Milkman owes something to the veterinary doctor who had treated his cows. So he pays him. That veterinary doctor had stayed in the estate some days back and there was some 500 rupees due. He comes back and pays it. By the time that customer who had gone to look around the estate, he comes back and he picks it. Maybe he likes it or doesn't like it. He picks up his 500 rupees which are lying on the desk, it goes back. But in between that 15-20 minutes, there are at least 4-5 transactions which get settled. 500 rupees could have settled some 2,500 worth transactions. If that is the kind of power of circulation of money, you can imagine the 2 lakh crore rupees which is there in the hands of the consumers. Like Narayan Prasannaji in his talk, he was telling, what happens to like beverages, especially aerated beverages. If they are taxed at 40%, then how can MSMEs can survive? Even if it is like 40%, or if it is whether it is 28% or 28% with cess, whatever is now happening, have you seen any consumption going down in pan masala or cigarettes or BD and manufactured, unmanufactured tobacco products? No, because what you should be happy about is, it's not a direct tax you should crib about or you should be worried about. It is a consumption tax. It is the consumer who will decide whether he wants to eat pan masala, or he wants to buy chocolates or ice cream for his kids, or he wants to buy a Lamborghini, or he wants to just have a small SUV for his family. So it is his choice. Your job is to just understand what consumer needs and what is his capacity to pay, and accordingly you may have to do your R&D, and you may have to do your market research and try to cater to the needs of the consumer. Now, it's already, I am committing a sin, kindly excuse me, because there is one saying in Kannada, ಹಸಿದವನಿಗೆ ಉಪದೇಶ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು ಅಂತ. You should not really give a sermon to person who is hungry. I know it's already 1:30, beyond 1:30. The mic also said, "Bhai, I am also hungry. I am not supposed to amplify your voice. I am jabardasti. I am doing a jabardasti thing. You are all hungry. I know. I myself am. I am not supposed to give knowledge to a hungry person. But still, since I have been asked to, and you yourself have invited the trouble. Adi logo devana mane karkondange. You yourself have invited the trouble, so I am supposed to give trouble, so I am giving. Please excuse me for that. One thing I want to tell about this GST. If you ask me, two defining features of this 2.0 especially, it was there in the very theme of the GST 1 and what is there after 8 years. The first GST came with the theme one nation, one market, and one tax. And this year, before even the Prime Minister addressed the nation from the Red Fort, when 8th year of GST was, after completion of 8 year, the GST day was being celebrated on 1st July of 2025. The logo which was released for this year's GST, it had the tagline. It said, "Simplifying taxes and empowering citizen." That was already a clear indication towards which the government was moving. So you could see just 2 months later to that, 1 month later to that, the PM himself announced it from the Red Fort, and just hardly another 15 to not even 3 weeks from his announcement, the GST Council meeting happened, and you could see the real rationalization. It's not just reduction. It was rationalization, right? And if you ask me what defines this rationalization, I will say it, most of it, like Vijay Kiran. Vijay Kiran was mentioning that yes, we are like we say we whenever we advise the trade and industry, we tell that we are good with the government and we always advise in favor of the government. I don't know. Sometimes it will backfire you. Once they come to know, already trade is hating the government. They will always go for some dispute, some valuation dispute, classification dispute, some or the other interpretation which goes over their head. And if you say, being CMA, I am in hand in glove with the government, certainly maybe it will not help you in your marketing your skills. So, but one thing which really defined this movement is that rate rationalization. Apart from what Vijay Kiran is literally matlab, apne paon pe kuladi marna by telling that we are in favor of the government. There is one more thing is what this GST 2.0 has brought in is like Vishwanath ji was mentioning, whether it is Hajmola is now a chocolate or it's a herbal preparation or home remedy. So now that classification, if chocolate and Hajmola are on the same 5% taxation slab, so suddenly that dispute is gone. That fight is gone. You are jobless, right? Similarly, what this, if you ask me the defining feature, I said no. The defining feature is the intuitiveness which this reform has brought. What is that intuitiveness? Now there are no 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%, and then says within says whether it is 3% says 1% says 12% says that wherever there is complexity, you require a tax practitioner, a retainer, a financial advisor to tell me where my product or my service fits into. Now there are only two. Most of the time it is commonsensical. If you ask even a small school going kid, if you ask by there are two tax rates, I will name the commodity, you tell me in which slab it will come. Bicycle, he will say 5%. Motorcycle, he will say 18%. You say at, he will say 40%. You say Lamborghini, he will say 40%. You say, I want to buy a Creta, he will say 18%. That intuitiveness, which doesn't require, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಿದೆ, ಅಂಗೈ ಹುಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ. ಅಂಗೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡಿ ಬೇಡ. ಈಗ ಬಂದಿರೋ 2.0 ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಂಗೈ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆನೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತದೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಈ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಯರ್ಸ್, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರ್ಸ್ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಟರ್ನಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಲೈಕ್ the mirror. You don't require mirror to see what has happened on your palm. If you ask me, this is the simplicity which this reform has brought in. I don't want to just go on because, like already Prashantji has already mentioned, what was there in decade back and what was our poverty levels. He in fact mentioned about what revolutionization in the prices which has brought in to almost all the sectors. In fact, Vishwanath ji has come up with some 18-page small booklet on entire benefits of, I think I'm told that he's going to distribute it to all the participants today. Maybe it's already there in the book. Yeah. But in one very philosophical, before I address the four challenges which he said, I will not take more than 5 to 8 minutes. One philosophical thing I want to conclude about this GST reform, that like I said, Benjamin Franklin said that in life, if there are only two things which are certain, one is death, another is tax. With the death, we have an expectation. We have an expectation where there is a shloka which says, Anayasena maranam, vina dainena jivanam. ಮರಣ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಅನಾಯಾಸವಾಗಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಯಾರು ಮರಣ ಬರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮರಣ ಹೆಂಗೂ ನಿಶ್ಚಿತ ಅದು ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದು ಅನಾಯಾಸವಾಗಿ ಬರಲಿ. ಅನಾಯಾಸೇನ ಮರಣಂ ವಿನಾದೈನ್ಯೇನ ಜೀವನಂ. ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ವಿನಾದೈನ್ಯೇನ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೈ ಚಾಚದೇ ಇರೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಇರಲಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ one thing, one expectation about one certainty of life. Another certainty of life is tax. So what is the expectation about tax? We wanted the tax to be simplified. We want the tax to be understandable. We wanted the tax to be at such rate which we should feel like paying up rather than evading. It is not like those pre-independence era where if you pay the tax, it will go to British kitty and it will go to Queen Victoria's throne rather than being utilized for our own country's benefit. Now that kind of thing is not there. Maybe there was a, maybe it was a national interest during pre-independence not to pay taxes, because if you pay the tax, it will go to Britain rather than staying back in India. But now it is not like that, and you are all just part of the chain. If you ask me, one big thing which GST has made difference with you, when I say you, you tax practitioners or you entrepreneurs, what it has made is one part of the function, the collection of tax function has been now delegated to you people. How? Unless, for example, you are an entrepreneur, you are buying something from somebody, unless that person has paid his GSTR 2B, unless the tax which you are supposed to pay has been discharged, you can't take credit. So it pinches you. When it pinches, certainly you will check upon him by whether you have paid it or not. If somebody has not paid the return, he has not filed the return, you will check upon him and say, "Bhai, you file the return, otherwise my tax chain is going to be broken." So that is where it is not the government. If you ask me, there was one example. They said ki when GST was implemented in the state of Bihar, where there was no much industries, and because it was at that point of time was whatever sales tax or VAT it was there, it was basically origin based tax. So there was not much goods being originated there. I was told there were only around 300 plus tax officers who were working for indirect tax collection. In spite of that, they were able to collect lakhs of thousands of crores of GST because of this particular devolving of the power to collect the tax, because you yourself were ensuring the other person who is supplying you has discharged his tax liability. This is one defining feature of GST which was not there in earlier time. I will stop at this on GST and GST 2.0 because like I said, ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ರಸದೌತಣನ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ಸ್ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ DP ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ನಂತರ ನಾನೀಗ ಬರೀ ಮೊಸರು ಅವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ದಾಗಲೇ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ, ಪುಲಾವ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ಪಾಯಸ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಿಂದಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟು ನೌ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮೈ ಸಡಾವ, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್, ಅವಲಕ್ಕಿ ಮೊಸರು ಆರ್ ಮ್ಯಾಗಿ. So I will stop at this. Coming to few challenges which were identified, especially, pardon? I don't know whether it is DESSERT. I'm happy you have not deserted me. Whether I am serving dessert or not, but at least I'm happy you have not deserted me. Hospitality sector, Jagannathji has taken literally trouble to come here and voice his concern. First, let me answer because yeah, I will come. I'll come because now one more Nara, because we knew another defining feature of GST 2.0 is we knew Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Guru to Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. We knew all that. We knew Atiti Devo Bhava, but we didn't know Nagarik Devo Bhava. So this GST 2.0 said it is Nagarik Devo Bhava. That is the reason I am ignoring the VIP and first taking Nagarik Devo Bhava with that concept. First I am answering your concern. And that is another defining feature. Like sir already mentioned, even Ashwath Narayanji also mentioned that GST, the initial GST, the GST and GST 2.0, the GST when it brought in, it was talking about ease of doing business. And this time GST 2.0 is talking about ease of living. My wife was complaining with me, "Arey, you guys are talking so much about, you are going gaga about GST Bachat Utsav, GST celebration, all those things. But when I went to buy some for this Deepavali, I wanted to buy some clothes for kids and myself. I am seeing everywhere the rate has been revised upward." I told her, please be sure it is not only, it is not about consumer. Please remember what Prime Minister said. It is not about the consumer anyway. He has put money in their hands, they can buy whatever they want to. But the main focus of this GST 2.0 is common man, those who are buying clothes which are below 2500 rupees, those who are buying footwear below 2500 rupees, those who wanted to buy some ice cream and chocolate for their kids, those who wanted to ensure that good school bags and good stationery, erasers, rubbers, pencils. So it is about them. It is not for commissioners' wives and all those things. So you have to pay. Upward revision is good, and I am happy about it, right? So that is what is. It is not rate reduction. It is rate rationalization, which we should remember. Coming to Jagannath's question, he was specifically asking me because he's again anti. He said he's a propagator of anti-profiteering with that the real uh, tooth in the government, that section 171 now has gone into sunset. So how you are going to handle this exactly? If I am rephrasing your question, without that power, government is about power. Like Ashwat Narayan was telling, you may be doing it for hundreds of years, tens of years, but government can take a decision within seconds. That is the power of the government. So with that power gone away, how I am going to ensure this? That is the question. This question I am again copycatting. This question has already been answered immediately after the GST Council meeting by our Revenue Secretary, the same day after the late night press briefing. And again on Dantaras, when our Honorable FM held a press briefing, she again answered this question. Revenue Secretary gave a figure in past 8 years, till 31st March 2025, when this section 171 was existing, live and kicking, we received 7,401 complaints of anti-profiteering, which involved the total amount of 4,362 rupees, 4,362 crore rupees, right? If you compare the collections, GST collections of last year, 22 lakh crores, and 4,362,000 crores in the past 8 years, it works out to be less than 0.2% of the total this one. And I am not, no, we are not even sure when it goes to now GST appellate tribunal itself is also appellate tribunal for anti-profiteering cases. I don't know how many of those cases will sustain also. And the mantra of this government is maximum governance and minimum government. So we don't want it to have another big structure, another mechanism. Maybe you may have to just to safeguard 4,300 crores, which is not passed on to the customer. Government doesn't want to spend another 500,000 crores to establish a mechanism and a machinery and a system to address to that. But in spite of that, if you remember, FM in our Dantara's press briefing very specifically and clearly mentioned, including the concern, your point of concern, cement, except that Portland Pozzolana cement, PPC cement, rest all, whether it is medicines, whether it is even medical diapers, she was very specifically quoting about it, whether it is umbrellas, whether it is solar cookers, whether it is any, you name anything, whatever those 54 essential goods which have an impact on the common man, which the government of India, Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue is currently monitoring, and they're seeking report from all the zones across the country. She was very categorically telling, if the rate reduction is from 18% to 5%, the expected benefit transfer is around 11.02%. But in spite of that, the trade, the industry, kudos to all of you, they have passed on 12%, 12.36%, where the reduction was like 12 to 5%. Expected transfer was around 6.25%, but the trade and industry has passed on almost 10%, 9%, more than what was expected by the government. So the reduction has really happened. And in fact, I and Vishwanath ji, when we were discussing 2 days before how we should go about this particular seminar or this Budget Utsav, we discussed this. Like you said, whether whether the developers have reduced the cost. No. Why? You yourself said that the expected benefit is of around 3 to 4%, whether it is marbles or tiles or lime, sand, bricks, and cement. Basically, these are the major things where the cut has happened. If it is 3-4%, can you guess what is the real estate appreciation every year on year? It is not less than 20 to 25%. Maybe yesterday the flat rate was 3,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees per square feet. Go after 6 months, it is at least 500 rupees extra. So if it is 500 rupees extra, your 3 to 4% benefit will not be more than 20-30 rupees. It gets subsumed and washed away in whatever that is. But when it comes to individual house builders, For example, I am building a house, you are building a house, you yourself are making affordable house or your own dream house. Certainly, you will see the effect. That is the ultimate consumer who is literally involved, who is the end beneficiary of this rate reduction, is certainly getting it, and which government is monitoring. And another thing, with this almost more than after the rate reduction, it's already 32 days. It is today. It is 32 days. So far, not more than 4,000 complaints. In fact, FM on 18th of October, she was very categorical in mentioning 3,169 complaints have been received regarding this. Out of that, most of them were misconception. For example, somebody thinks the national, if you are aware that national consumer helpline number 1915, they have a dedicated line for this GST rate reduction related complaints only. There are less than 4,000 complaints so far. Out of that, close to 2,000 odd have been referred to Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. That is our department. Though, like you said, we don't have a legal machinery to deal with that, but at least it can be examined. One thing. Second, it helps in nudging the industry, right? ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಗಾದೆ ಇದೆ, ನೀರಿಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದರೆ ಈಸ್ ಬಂದೇ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ನೀರಿಗೆ ತಳ್ಳೋರು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೋಗಿ ಬೀಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನೀರಿಗೆ. ಆ ನೀರಿಗೆ ತಳ್ಳೋ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. We don't have power. I don't have any power to push somebody into water. But because I feel he's already standing on this, he's supposed to swim in the pool, he's not swimming, so I will give a nudge. So that nudge thing is happening with our department. We are nudging them. You think all these consumers, like 700 odd industries and entities, they have passed on whether it is automobile, whether it is hospitality sector, whether I said this, those 54, whether it is consumer goods. There were some misconception, like somebody said that on laptop and refrigerators, we have not seen rate reduction, because that rate reduction has not happened. They were already earlier on 18%, even today they are continuing under 18%. But Ashwin Vaishnavji, during his press conference along with the Honorable FM, he mentioned 85-inch TV, whatever the stock was there, nothing is left. So you can understand that the choice of the customers, 43-inch and 55-inch TVs, which were not being, now there is almost 25% jump, whether it is tractors, whether it is automobiles, whether it is two-wheelers, everywhere they have seen the jump, right? Hope I have answered your question, Jagannath ji. Coming to hospitality sector. Thank you very much. Thank you. That is what is collaborative efforts. Real estate, I think I have covered. Why rate benefit? Because our fellow speaker had mentioned about it. Hospitality sector, yes, their concern is that now, at least earlier, we had that option of specified premises, and where we could have taken credit. It was not a mandatory thing that I have to pay it, not take credit and pay it only 5%. But now it has kind of become mandatory thing. So that is in any case in the notice of the matlab, it has been attended to by the GST Council. Many from South Indian, especially hotel associations, they have already made representation to GST Council, to GST Policy Wing, and to Chairman CBIC, Revenue Secretary, everybody. So it will be attended to. I am not the person to say anything about it, because this is well within the notice of the government. That much I can tell you. Now, reversal of ITC and exempted goods. Those goods which were now earlier taxed at 12%, 5%, now they have been at 0%. Certainly, if the reduction was like from 18% to 5%, if there are some tax slabs which have been changed from 18% to 5%, maybe you may have to hold your ITC credit for some more time. But in any case, it will get utilized during the course of your business. But those places where the exemption has kicked in, so you have to reverse the ITC. And what is the way out? In fact, Narayan Prasanna was also asking me what is the how it will, our products will become less competitive. I said no, your products will not be less competitive, because it is the level playing field. Everybody who had taken the inputs, common inputs for a common product, there are common inputs irrespective of whether it is Narayan Prasanna's industry or somebody else's industry. So all of them have to pass on it. They have to factor in those ITC into their cost and pass it on to the consumer, right? So hope I have answered most of the queries. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to, yeah, please. I am afraid that's it. If you want to stay back, I can spend some more time. Please, please.
of them are doing a labor charges, and I think that point has been already mentioned. Please take it seriously. Our labor charges 5%. Earlier it was in VAT. At the time there was no taxes. Now, earlier in the GST first, you call GST when implemented, it has been made 18% and 12% afterwards, and now 12% is lying as it is, and it is brought to 18% I think now, because that slab has gone. That is a point. Plus, please look into it. And second point is that, sir, one, you are telling these sectors, for example, for the real estate sector as well as hospitality sector, all you have seen, there steel is a major factor, even for the industry. If you reduce the cost where we buy the raw materials, if it is done, see what we are seeing, one is procurement by the end user. Second thing is the manufacturing cost. When we see the manufacturing cost, how we are reducing the manufacturing cost? It is only the procurement by the raw materials. The raw material cost, the purchase of raw materials, the rate of the raw materials, there if it is reduced, then only my manufacturing cost is reduced. Otherwise, because labor, our employees' salary is going on higher, then rent of the sets are going on higher, all these things are getting higher. But where I can reduce? So if the tax for the procurement is reduced, then it will be helpful. And the third point is why we are not competitive with China or other countries which we are buying at the lesser cost in India. So that has to be looked into. We should not buy any other countries' products. If they are able to give us at lesser cost, then why we are not? Madam has mentioned Hyderabad to somewhere America, again we are purchasing that from the Hyderabad. So please look into these matters. Right?
Thank you. All these are in the realms of policy, and the decision has to be taken at the government level only. But both, especially first two things are regarding rates again. So again, that's in the realm of GST Council. And regarding competitiveness between China and I think again, this is one effort towards bringing in that competitiveness, and we cannot compare oranges and apple.
No, I think the point which he
Sir.
mentioned, let us take the fiber, textiles. Textiles was at 80% and fabric was 5%.
I think you mentioned about the raw material. I think I'll give an example how the 56 GST Council has taken a decision, which is the most difficult decision. Textiles suffered inverted duty structure the last 8 years because fiber, whether it is man-made fiber or any synthetic or a filament yarn, is to be
And made of fabric used to be at 5%. Ready-made garments used to be at 18%. The government took a decision to bring down the rate of tax on man-made fiber from 18% to 5%. 13% rate rationalization will completely eliminate the inverted duty and the accumulated input tax credit. You look at the pharma sector. Pharma sector, we have APIs. Primarily, we have been importing from China, which used to be at the rate of 12%. Now, many of the drugs are at 0%, like what Madam mentioned about the life-saving drugs. Today, we have brought in most of the products at 12% to 5% or zero. Now, our APIs are becoming at least at 5%. The products are at 5%. The inversion, which used to happen earlier, as 13%, has come down. But there are pockets where the challenge comes to us in GST is so long as we work with multiple rate structure, the rate inversion is imperative and it can't be removed. So that is a going forward position. But what government has done, bringing 28% cement to 18%, automobiles, which are aspirational consumption goods, from 43% to 18%. There has been a genuine effort on the part of the policymakers. Like hospitality sector, one of the speaker has mentioned about 5% without ITC, 18% with ITC. The option should have been given so that we would have had a choice of it. We hear this voice not only from the restaurant but also from fitness centers, all these things. Government is looking into this, but it's ultimately a point of view where the GST Council is willing to listen. Since the 56 GST Council meeting happened, Already the Fitment Committee and the Law Committee is looking into the impact on account of the rate rationalization happening in terms of accumulated input tax credit and inverted duty refunds. You are aware, from 1st November, the CBSE is on voluntarily going for giving a provisional refund of both zero-rated export refunds and inverted duty refunds within 7 days, 90%. Already instructions have been issued. I think
Yes,
Kotraswamy
sir.
sir has
In
not
fact, we have
mentioned
been.
about it. The government is proactively, even without looking for an amendment to the law. At least the central government is walking the path of what the GST Council said. Even without a law amendment, we will implement this. Registration, 96% what Madam has mentioned about yesterday, that within 3 days, either you pay an output tax of 2.5 lakhs or less in a month, or you are identified as a non-risky taxpayer by the system, the registration will happen within 3 days. These are not empty words. These are really walking the path, because I'm personally aware of the fact that the GST has been working over the last 15 days to put the systems in place. Come 1st November, you file your RFD01, you will receive 90% provisional refund on zero rated exports and inverted duty structure. Government is looking at quite a lot of feedback what has come after the GST Council decision. The best part, what Praveen mentioned about it, it's a participative decision making. GST is a great success because here is a government which is actually doing citizen centric governance. You take the feedback, look into it, look into the solutions, and provide it. And I think that is one where I would say what Kotraswamy sir has said about it is that GST is bound to succeed because here is a government listening to every sector. And you look at the GST Council minutes of the meeting and the agenda, they're all there in the public domain to see. What was discussed in the closed doors of the GST Council meeting is for everybody to see. Views, counter views, rational for agreeing, not agreeing, or deferring, who had what view. After all, it is a governance structure where state and center are equal partners. Neither center can impose its will, nor states can impose their will. But today, what happened in 56 GST Council is a clear, citizen centric, common man related reforms. We have every reason to be optimistic. Those issues, what you're all raising, it's good to raise because these are the forums where you talk, you submit the representation. Here is the government willing to look at it. All that I can say, only that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.